Hey guys, my name's Lucas and welcome to Drum Tip Tuesdays. This is the third and final installment of a series that I'm doing on drum setup. So when I'm talking about setup, I'm talking about the way that we arrange the various instruments that we have to make a drum set that is easy to play, in other words, comfortable. It requires the least amount of effort from our part to play various notes on the drum set, and it is also efficient. In other words, it's easy for me to move between instruments in a way that is very free-flowing, and I don't have to move my arms around in a whole bunch of crazy ways in order to get access to each instrument. Okay, one other cool thing about the setup, in this case, we're talking about the tom-toms, and also in part the snare drum, any drum that you have set up on the kit. And that is that the way you set up the drums is actually going to have a huge impact in the sound of the drum. Okay, you're probably like, what? No, it doesn't. It totally does, and I'll show you why. So, one big mistake that I see a lot of drummers doing is setting up their tom almost perpendicular to the ground. Okay, so I think that the logic here in their mind is that if they set up the drum almost facing towards them, well, there's no way that they're going to accidentally hit the rim of the drum. Okay, yes, you're probably right. You'd have a hard time hitting the rim, accidentally hitting the rim, if your drum was facing almost towards you. Okay. However, when you do that, you're really diminishing the sound of your drums because of simple physics, really. And I'll show you why. So if I take my drumstick here and I hit it as if the drum were to be set up almost perpendicular to the floor, so it's facing right towards me. So in other words, I'm getting a really high angle of attack coming into the drum, okay? So I'm gonna hit it like that. Okay, that's the sound I'm able to get of the drum, okay? I'm not gonna hit it any harder now, but what I'm going to do is hit it so that my stick is parallel, almost parallel to the drum head. In other words, I'm hitting down through the drum instead of hitting it sideways. Okay, I didn't put any more force into that, at least I tried not to, but you can see the drum is resonating more. It's got a little more of a deeper tone to it, okay? This applies to any drum, and you're especially gonna hear it on the snare drum. Check this out. Wow, amazing, right? And I promise I'm not putting any more force into this. We're just able to activate more of the head. We're also activating the bottom head more, which is where the tone of the drum really comes from, is the bottom head, okay? So, in other words, what we want to do is set up our drums in a way where we're able to hit them almost parallel to the drum head, and this is going to make our drums sound bigger, warmer, better. Regardless of whether or not we're hitting rims. And we're going to talk about the rim problem in a second, and we also talked about it back in episode 1. So, check it out. I have my drum set up in a way where when I hit the drum, you can see when I'm naturally holding my hand, how it naturally falls, the shaft of my drumstick is very close to the rim, not hitting it though. This way I'm able to get the most sound out of each drum. Floor tom is the same way. When I rest my hand in a way where I'm able to hit this drum using the least amount of muscles here, my shaft of my drumstick is very close to the rim of my drum, but it's not hitting. Okay. Now, I know what you're saying. Well, now all of a sudden I'm going to be hitting all these rims. And the reason that you're probably hitting rims is because you probably have poor posture at your drum set. So this goes back to where we were talking about with our snare drum as well. So you probably have your drum set up very low, or your snare drum set up very low. You probably have these toms cranked way towards you, and you're able to not hit any rims like that. However, if you set your drums up like this, you're right. If I'm sitting with very crappy posture, I'm hitting rims here, I'm hitting rims here. Now, nobody wants to hit rims, so your answer is perhaps to turn your toms towards you. My answer is, let's set up straight, have proper posture, save our back from a whole lot of pain, especially if we're going to be playing an hour-long set, 2-hour-long set. You do not want to be hunched over like this. Now, check this out. if I'm sitting up properly, I promise you, I'm almost never going to hit a rim unless I screw up, drop a stick, or if my posture gets bad. All right? So this is also a way, in addition to getting a better sound out of your drums, all of your drums, I'm also ensuring that I'm having good posture. It's sort of a subconscious little trick that I have. We talked about it with the snare drum, but it applies to the toms too. The third thing you should consider with your toms is you want them set up in a way where I can move easily between them, okay? So you don't want them way up here. You don't want them off to one side. I have the traditional four-piece setup here, which is more of a jazz thing. Even if you had another tom, it would be the same way. You want them set up in a way where they're very close together, is also close to my snare drum. You can see I have my snare drum almost tucked under the rim of this drum here. And that allows me to move very quickly between each drum in a way that is ergonomical and requires the least amount of effort on my part as possible. Okay. Very easy to move quickly around. Doesn't require a whole lot of effort. I only have to move about a foot here. Okay, if I have my tom up here, there's no way I'd be able to do all that. There's no way. Same with the floor tom. It's nice and close to me, and it's set up in a way where it's almost the same height as my snare drum, or in other words, it's very close to the fact that where my arm moves, it's very naturally going to end up in a good playing position on the drum. Okay, one final tip that I have is once you get your toms in a general vicinity that it sort of makes sense, you're going to get a good sound of the drum. A trick that I like to do is close my eyes and play the snare drum. Okay, now I look where the stick hit the drum, and I think, is this where I want to be hitting my drum? Obviously, the ideal position is almost right in the center, maybe a little bit off center, depending on what your philosophy is about where you should be hitting your drums, okay? I like to pretty much say the center of the drum is fine with me. So I close my eyes and I look, and I think, okay, is this where the drum is going to be? Then I might move it around in a way so that when I close my eyes, I get rid of my muscle memory, and then I just hit the drum while I should be hitting it pretty much in the center. Do this for your toms too, okay? Get rid of your muscle memory, wave your arms around, and then go boom. And wherever I hit that drum, that's where I want to put this drum so that my muscle memory naturally puts the stick in a good playing position on the drum. Same with the floor tom. Wave your arms around, get rid of the muscle memory, then bang. All right? So as you can see, I hit a little off center here, so I might be inclined to move my drum back a little bit so that when I close my eyes, now I'm hitting it pretty much in the center. All right. So there's been our 3 videos on drum setup. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below. I definitely welcome you to try and dispute this too. Again, this is how I set up my drums. This is how I think a lot of drummers set up their drums. If you check out guys like Eric Harland, like Jeff Hamilton, Peter Erskine, these guys all have their drums set up in a way that's very ergonomical, easy to move around, and you're going to notice that they don't have their drums cranked up like this, like some rock drummers do, and it has to do with the way that the drums sound. Okay, if you like these videos, please feel free to subscribe to my channel. I respond to every comment if you have any questions, and I will see you next week on Drum Tip Tuesdays. Thanks for tuning in.